This is not a 1972 Chevy C20. Well, it kind of is. Honestly, me, the whole team, and anyone who's experienced this is having a hard time to say what it is. But the best way to say is once you start driving it, you forget that it's a resto mod. I'd even argue it is not a resto mod, as we've established over the last 20 years. The amount of engineering to make this happen is pretty absurd, but the end result, I kid you not, it is a game changer. This is a brand new Chevy Silverado rebodied with its grandfather's shell, and it's insane. Like, gets 21 miles per gallon, mixed use. This weekend we went on a trip up to the high desert. You can barely hear it idling when it's running. It's got hill hold, ABS, active track, two-speed transfer case. V8 automatic. It is just, it's insanity. Literally, it's a new truck experience that looks like an old truck. And if I think back to 25 plus years ago, when I started the brand, or was thinking of starting the brand even before we started Icon, this was the mind's eye of what I wanted to create. Now, we went down the path of engineering our own chassis and axles and picking the powertrain, and that's great, but it's something different. This is just zero drama, brand new truck. It's been years in the making, and I'm stoked to finally share it with you. So let's go for a drive. I will get into the nitty and the gritty, but trust me, I mean, it's just nuts. So this is a 1970 C20 long bed. We found it up in the high desert in Central California. It had been with one family since new. Nice truck, really cool patina, almost too cool. Like, people have asked if we faked it, and hell no, we didn't. Well, we did a little bit. Steering column, driver's door, passenger door, both had more rust than we would like them to have had. So we reworked those and then artfully matched in the patina by referencing the original door. But it was a nice two-wheel drive long bed. It was pretty well optioned. I mean, for 1970, it had power steering, it had the automatic, and it had the V8, and that was pretty much about it. I dug the color combo though, and immediately saw we'd have a lot of opportunities when it came down to restyling it. Let's talk about mechanics. So, as previously stated, this is no longer a 70 C20. It is much closer, in fact, a brand new Chevrolet Silverado. Therefore, we literally ordered a brand new truck, picked it up from the dealer, and we spec'd it exactly the way we wanted it. We did the 5.3 EcoTech V8, which is a lovely motor that I just don't see anyone talking about. I guess in modern automotive media, that's a good sign, because the one everyone is talking about is the bigger V8 that's tied up in that nasty recall. But this 5.3, it's such a great motor. It delivers 355 horsepower and 383 torque. Honestly, it feels like more than that. It's backed by the 6-speed automatic, and it's got the 2-speed transfer case. So obviously 1-to-1 in high range, and then 2.69 in low range. We did the tow package. We did the 372 rear axle ratio. We did the aux factory trans cooler. We did the auto rear locker. Of course, all of the modern Chevy trucks come with 4-wheel disc brakes with ABS, electric power steering, which normally I'm not a fan of, but this electric rack and pinion power steering feels excellent. It has hill hold, it has active fuel management, 28.3 gallon capacity fuel tank, which, you know, it's another thing about this motor. Despite being plenty peppy, and I've towed with it, it hauls really well also. But this thing, man, we just took it up to Pioneer Town for a fun event just last weekend. And this truck averaged, and that includes canyon, off-road, and highway, 21.8 miles to the gallon. How about them apples? Never going to pull that off with a Coyote or an LS3, I'll tell you that much. Another cool thing is this truck has the GM StabiliTrak. So StabiliTrak basically works in conjunction with the anti-lock braking system, but it's really more focused on controlling the vehicle's motion, while the ABS solely focuses on the braking. So that, complemented by the added function of the automatic rear locking diff. A lot of dirt roads, we didn't even put it in four-wheel drive despite not having a load in the bed. So 500 plus mile range, you can barely hear it when it's running, scoots down the freeway, super chill, factory cruise controls there. And then if you are actually going to use it in tow, the tow package is great. So you've got obviously a class 3 rear hitch, the electrical connection, but you have direct dash integrated OEM trailer braking control. And then you've got the really nice camera system that does the docking assist when trailing. And that's a simple push button. So that's a nice natural transition into design, because while I've seen a couple companies, mostly super clever home builders, do modern truck, vintage truck platform mashups, they invariably leave the modern truck interior. Now, at least to me, you can't do that. It just jumps the shark. It sucks. All that stuff is crap. It's all plastic. It's not designed to last, and it's going to fall apart. On the other hand, if we go geeking out and doing all sorts of software mods and stuff to run non-native control systems and buttons and switches, our client, the end user, is kind of in a weird position because they don't know what something is from, where to get it serviced, who to call, how to get support for it. So we decided at inception on this job to first, I put about 800 miles on the brand new Chevy truck before we took it apart. I identified the things I dug, I identified the things I could live without, and I identified the things that there's no way in hell I wanted, such as that darn modern seatbelt ding, 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 ding gong. We did leave the gong that informs you left your keys in the ignition. That seems reasonable, wouldn't you think? But we kept all of the factory in-dash controls. So therefore, your headlight switch through to the touch screen, CarPlay controls, audio, all your gauges, the data screen in the middle of the gauges, all of that stuff is dead nuts factory GM. So I think that is a nice way to go. It did add some considerable challenges to design and engineering because I wanted to keep the vibe and the design character of the original C10, C20 series 68 to 72 dash, but I had to integrate about 1,000 miles of wiring and modules and the modern gauges and the modern center IP stack. So we ended up cutting out a significant section of the center dash. We designed a new center section that is machined in 6061 billet aluminum and then patina painted and aged. And that allows us to use unaltered all of those factory switches that you're seeing. Now, we did do a divorced climate control system for various reasons, and we're running the Gen 5 by Vintage Air, which is standalone and not running through the CAN bus GM operations system. Gauges, again, those are all stocked, but that big old panel is machined aluminum. And then on this truck, we did a black powder coat wrinkle finish center, which is inspired by the original one from this truck, in fact. But I think I'm going to mix that up. Maybe in the future, I will consider patina painting that. I think the dash design, factory be darned, would be cleaner and would flow better with that. The ergonomics on these early trucks are a bit challenging, so to address that, we pushed the brake and gas pedals as far away from the driver as possible. We threw out the fairly atrocious park bench-like factory bench seat, And we worked with our good friends at Glide Engineering, who are also the providers of the seat structure that we use in the Icon Thriftmaster. And we designed this seat together. So technically it's a bucket, but it's kind of a bench. So center armrest folds up. We did provide a third center lap belt if you need to cram 3 people in it. But by design, it feels like a bucket setup. So the nice bolster structure, really nice, and holds you in place as you're carving through the canyons. The seat belts are, of course, brand new, upgraded to 3 points. Took the liberty of color coordinating those in a nice olive green. Factory door panels, they're just a big old chunk of plastic, and they kind of crowd the outer side of your body. So when you're driving, even the armrest and form is kind of intruding on your personal space. So we started from scratch there. The door panels are laser cut marine board, 2-layer with rare earth magnets, so you don't have those crappy interior clips that always break. Gosh, how I hate those. Armrest, but went ahead and wrapped it in fine leather. And then we designed and machined and chromed door spears just to break it up a bit. And as you see, we fit those right at the transition from the leather to the textile. Oh, the leather. You know how some vintage vehicles, when you hop in them, or even if it's like total roach sitting in someone's garage for decades, but like you come up on an early Rolls Royce, let's say, and you stick your head inside, they have that like distinct, amazing odor. Well, in this case, we used Connolly leather. So Connolly is out of England. They are one of the oldest and arguably best automotive-focused leather brands. In the, I think it was the 80s, they kind of grew, took investment capital, started trying to have something for everyone, and then eventually that failed on them, so they went back to their core. Jonathan Connolly is now running the company again, and they're independent, and they have simply brought back the best of the best from their original recipe book. So the durability, the surface character, and the wear characteristics, and the smell are kind of unmatched. So we thought that would be kind of a fun, subtle, olfactory conflict, and that's what we used in this truck. We've been using it more and more. We went ahead and leather wrapped the factory original steering wheel. We did update the steering column with our partners at I Did It, so it's still a retro, traditional style General Motors column, but it also provides more safety and adjustability because it has a collapsible section before it links to the rack and pinion. And then of course you have the tilt functionality on the stalk in the cabin. For the AC, we did utilize the factory air conditioner outside vents that are all the way to the left, all the way to the right. But since the Gen 5 has such great airflow, we went ahead and added a very subtle louver that has a lovely directional bias 3D printed plenum at the top in that long narrow slit that routes air towards driver and passenger. And then of course you have defrost and you have floor vent as well. The textile on this vehicle is from our buddies at Derelict, and this is a recreation inspired by early German vehicles. It's quite lovely, super durable, and kind of kept with the character and vibe of the truck. Rearview mirror, we were going to do a fancy one, but we're like, it's a Derelict. This one works great. It has high beam, low beam settings, so we just partied on there. Factory visors on this truck are really quite stout, so we simply took them apart, made new boards, and then wrapped those in that Connolly hide as well. Stock dome light has been maintained, albeit upgraded to light emitting diode. We did not do power windows on this truck. We did do power door locks, and those work with the factory key fob. And you know, the thing with these modern CAN bus complex vehicles is you kind of take for granted all of the subtle nuances and perversions of modernity. Now, when you're driving something that looks like this, but enjoying all those benefits, it kind of amplifies the effect. So like when we first started driving it, for example, We're testing out the audio system, and we turned the truck off and the stereo was still playing. And I was like, oh darn, we put that on constant 12 volt. We screwed up. And then I opened the door and the audio just dimmed out. Daytime running lights, stupid, simple, but they're a hoot. They're always on. You never have to touch the control or do anything there. We did do the factory GM windshield wiper system. It's actually really good, unlike the earlier 60s and older versions. So we left that alone and just fully rebuilt it. And same with the washer system, improved the reservoir for it, simple thing. For carpet, we did the Hargarten square weave in sort of a gray-green. We did removable mats that are Dynamat lined and rubber backed, and those are removable, and those, as well as the principal carpet, are all hemmed in the same Connolly leather. You'll notice the firewall, you can see the polyurea coating that we often do. We did do some pretty significant modifications to the firewall to keep all of the factory new Silverado components fit in the factory kind of sorta layout. So we did some metal work on that firewall, went ahead, primed it, sealed it, caulked it, and then the polyurea coating on top, which also adds a little bit more isolation from the noise and temperature created in the bay. Stereo system stock, I mean, the head unit's fine. It gets the job done. It has CarPlay, so we just kept that. Plus, we wanted to keep all of the other functions that are provided by that head unit. But when it came to the speakers, amplifier, digital sound processor, all that stuff, we started from scratch. So you'll notice we have fit speakers in the front kick panels. We used our beloved Focal K2s, and then you'll also see behind the seats more Focals plus a single Audison bass speaker, and then our 5-channel amp and digital sound processor. So you've got Bluetooth, you've got for music, and you've got your phone through the audio system, but now the sound's a lot louder and a lot crisper. Now with these Derelicts, a lot of times I see these being built and people take a roach and they put it on top of a diamond or whatever, various approaches. But one thing that we know is that you still have an aged body. You've got a lot of exposed metal, and often the underside of the vehicle, which we commonly call the B side, is left as found. We don't like that. So in the case of this truck, we dry iced and laser cleaned the underside of the body assembly, got it down to the raw structure, which then gave us the ability to epoxy it, prime it, seal it, and yet again polyurea it. We added Dynamat extensively in the vehicle, and as part of that process, so you look underneath the bed, the underside of the bed is all polyureaed, keeps it nice and protected. And then I think I talked about it briefly earlier, but then all of the glass, interior, engine bay, chassis, and exterior finishes are all coated in a ceramic nanoparticle, which works really well. Usually we don't do the ceramic coating until after we shoot the videos. This time we have already done it, and I'm realizing that's the only time it sucks, because all of my suction cups for camera mounts last about 10 seconds and fall off. But in essence, this should be the best way to preserve and protect the existing finishes on the truck. All the lights have been converted to LED, but very subtly. The factory in-cab gas tank is long gone. Those suck, but since we had the hole for the gas filler neck, we went ahead and updated that so that it is now for your surf key. So then you'll notice an original aftermarket, or often even dealer accessory, fuel filler locking door on the bed side on the driver's side. So then we simply utilized that and integrated it with the factory capless fuel filler from the new Chevy truck, and it really works out nice. We kept the stock Bridgestone Dueler all-terrain tires because they're appropriate for how our client's going to use it. They are 265/70/17s, and we mounted them upon custom Icon California-made forged aluminum patina painted wheels with custom center caps. I really wanted to run the factory C20 hubcaps, but in reality, it was a constraint of the packaging. You know, the modern trucks have super limited offset on the wheels, whereas the factory hubcap from 68 to 72 is pretty tall. It's like a dog dish. So we designed these caps to really try and find a balance to keep it in character, but not have, you know, hubcaps that are bucktooth sticking out, waiting to get knocked off on the trail. We explored a couple options to add utility in the bed. I don't think it's factory, but someone back in the day modified this truck to have a rear cab light that lights up in the bed. So we now have tied that to tailgate sensors we created. And it's nice to have that. Plus we did the trick we've been doing for many years, where we have hidden LED light rails tucked up under the bed sides. So tailgate goes down, you can see what you need to get done in the bay. We used our buddies at Max Tie Downs, adjustable CNC aluminum tie down strips on the bed floor, and those round anchor pins you see simply have springs and can be pushed and lipped up to travel for different uses. Another thing, tailgate. You open the tailgate on one of these old trucks, you need to be ready and have your knees bent or you're going to blow out your prostate. So we found a really nice solution on the market. So we are now running from LS Fab, good guys. They make a really nifty little retrofit for gas assist shock. So you simply open the tailgate and let go, and it comes down and drops in a very polite and controlled manner, just like a modern pickup would. Exterior trim, plenty of bumps, plenty of bruises. Again, it's a Derelict, part of the charm. So we didn't monkey with it, we left it all alone. You'll see our usual Icon Derelict badges at the bottom of the front fenders at the rear. And the Icon Lizard on this truck said he would like to be in the sun, but on the curb side. So we put him up on the cowl on that curb side. Believe it or not, the hardest aspect of this build is the electronics. Keeping a complex new production vehicle's electrical system, believing it is still dead stock, is quite the undertaking. Now, there's ways around it. You can run standalone harnesses, pro, but con, you lose all of the wonderful nuances, functionality, and even efficiency for solely the powertrain management. The slightly more complicated way to go is to get in there and modify the code. You sniff out sections of the CAN bus sequence, you change the code and you alter it. Okay, that's a little better because you can keep most of the functionality, but here's the catch that no one wants to talk about. If you do that and then you want to take this vehicle in for service and the technician's snap-on scanner or whatever he's using says, hey, there's a service EEPROM update, download now. Well, the second you download it in your vehicle, you now have a bricked vehicle and it will not run. And oftentimes the handshake required from some OEMs, where the mothership has to confirm the VIN and say, yep, that's cool, go ahead and do it, it gets blocked and you can't do it. So we spent let's just say an absurd amount of money, more than the total cost on the build of the vehicle that we charged the client, on software development and design and hardware. So all the solutions that we have done to maintain the functionality have been done so in a manner that our client can roll up to the Chevy dealer, go to the service bay, certainly has to speak to the manager before he gets kicked out, and say, hey, I know it looks like an old farm truck, kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's in fact a new Chevy Silverado. Here's the VIN, plug it in, every single part number, factory service protocols, updates, all of it, dead nuts compliant, and that's so cool. But I guess the thing that's most important to me to convey, which is going to be hard in this video, is that You know, when Icon started, we were the only people in this resto mod space, and most people thought we were nuts. Well, here we are 20 years later, and it's become a robust community, and more clients want the vibe of vintage, but the convenience and performance and safety of modern. And now, like, it's a global thing. It's kind of super cool for the most part to see that occurring. But if you think about it, in your mind's eye, or at least mine, when I was dreaming of the concept of this brand, shoot, even up to 30 years ago, was I want something that looks vintage, but is modern. And the way we've done this in the past, we get there. But I have to say, this is something different. This doesn't feel like a resto mod. It doesn't have the big, thumping, loud exhaust, and it's not all steroided up. And that's cool. And that's fine for a lot of people. But this thing is a no-brainer. I mean, you just hop in and you drive it. It's not like, oh, I'm not in the mood for that today, because it's just so subtle and the user experience is so evolved. I really think it's resto mod level 3. It's a whole new vibe. And the other thing is, hey, if clients want a 2-wheel drive, they want a 4-wheel drive. They want it dropped, they want it lifted, they want it gas, they want it diesel, they want a crew cab, they want an extra cab, they want to slam it, whatever. All of that is readily available and properly engineered due to the high volume. At the end of the day, companies like ours, even if we beat our chests and we are one of the best and the most funded, we're not going to be able to put hundreds of millions of dollars into developing a new platform. It would be sheer arrogance to think we can outdo the OEM in many regards. So this time we leveraged all the expertise and engineers at GM to really kind of revolutionize a resto mod, kind of revolutionize ourselves. And we're really excited about it. We've got a C10 shorty Derelict style coming up next, several more in the works. And boy, let's just say we got plans. So do you get it? Do you see what I'm so excited about this build? You can't even hear it running barely. So that's all I got. All I can tell you is we got plans. Very, very excited about this as a build concept and as a novel engineering approach. And yeah, stay tuned for more interesting, disruptive and novel, unnecessary automotive artistry. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. And we'll see you next week, or maybe the week after.